Dear students, welcome back to JCE Connect, Department of Chemistry, subject Engineering Chemistry. We are discussing the fifth module, Instrumental Method of Analysis and Nanomaterials. Last class we had discussed about introductions of nanomaterials. Also we have discussed about the size dependent properties. Under this heading we have discussed 5 properties such as surface area, electrical properties, optical properties, catalytical properties and thermal properties of nanomaterials. We have discussed in detail with the examples, and in today's class let us discuss about the synthesis of nanomaterials. Generally, nanomaterials can be synthesized in 2 ways. One is top-down approaches and another one is bottom-up approaches. So to understand these two, let us look at this figure. We have mentioned in the same figure, one is from the top to bottom and another one is bottom to top. That is, in case of top-down approaches, the nanomaterial which is to be synthesized is first prepared in bulk material, then that bulk material is grinded to the nanoparticle size. It is generally a mechanical method in which we are including milling or mechanical grinding to reduce the size of the bulk material into nanomaterial. For example, if you want to prepare nanoparticles of zinc sulfide, prepare zinc sulfide in bulk material or in the regular conventional method, then that compound is grinded to a nanoparticle size. So such kind of approach we call it as top-down approaches. And another one is bottom-up approaches. This is more important because it is having more advantages when compared to the top-down approaches. In case of bottom-up approaches, we are taking the precursor or the raw materials and we are started to growing the desired compounds as a nanoparticle itself. That is, in simple ways, materials containing the desired precursors are mixed in a controlled fashion to form a colloidal solution. This colloidal solution is then dried to get the particles whose size is in the order of nano size. So this is the another way of synthesizing nanomaterials. So there are in general top-down approach and bottom-up approach. Top-down is prepare the material which is required, then grind it to a nanoparticle size, and in the other case, that is bottom-up approach, take the precursor, develop the desired compound in the nano size itself. So this method is called as bottom-up approaches. So in the syllabus we need to discuss some synthetic methods which comes under bottom-up approaches. First method under the bottom-up approaches is Sol-Gel method. This method is generally employed for the synthesis of monodispersed nanoparticles. Monodispersed means the particles having same size. It may be a 10 nanometer or 50 nanometer. All the particles are having same size. So that is called as monodispersed nanoparticles. This method is also employed for temperature sensitive organic or inorganic hybrid materials. If the final product is temperature sensitive, in such cases also this method is generally employed for the synthesis of their particular nanoparticles. This method involves 5 steps, that is preparation of sol, conversion of sol to gel, aging of gel, removal of solvent or drying, and the final one is calcination. To understand these in detail, look at the figure shown here. So the first step is preparation of sol. In this method, metal alkoxide is used as a precursor to synthesize nanoparticles of metal oxide. Metal alkoxide means These are the compounds in which a metal is attached to one or more alkyl groups by an oxygen atom, that is MOR, that is shown here. Metal oxide attached to one or more alkyl groups by an oxygen atom. So such chemical compounds are called as metal alkoxide. Metal alkoxide are taken as a precursor in this step. Then these metal oxides are dissolved in alcohol, and then water is added under acidic or neutral or basic condition. Addition of water leads to the hydrolysis, in which alkoxide ligand is replaced with hydroxyl ligand as shown in the equation. MOR, metal oxide, plus water gives rise to MOH plus ROH. A hydrolysis reaction takes place between metal alkoxide and water, gives rise to the hydroxyl ligands. So this is called as sol. The next step is conversion of this sol to gel, wherein the polycondensation reaction between MOH and MOR results in the formation of an oxide or alcohol bridged network, that is called as gel. So in this method, as shown in the equation, the reaction between MOH and MOR takes place, which gives rise to MOM network plus an alcohol. So the mixture of these two is generally appears in the form of gel, hence it is called as gel. And the third step is aging of the gel. Aging of the gels means the reaction mixture is allowed to continue polycondensation reactions until the gel transforms into a solid mass accompanied by contraction of gel network and expulsion of solvent from the gel pores. So this is called as aging of gel. Aging of gel means, in simple words, we can understand in this way that keeping the gel for some times so that the polycondensation continues and the solvents comes out from the gel, so that we will get a network type material. So that is called as aging of gel. And the fourth step is drying process or the removal of solvent. So the water and the other volatile liquids are removed from the gel network in two ways. If isolated by thermal evaporation, then we are getting xerogel. If the solvent is extracted under supercritical conditions, then we will get aerogel. I hope you got this point. If we keep the gel as such and try to evaporate the volatile solvents present in the gel, then we will get the xerogel. Or if we are applying some supercritical conditions to remove the solvents, then we will get the aerogel. So this finally gives to the final compound, that is nanoparticle. These nanoparticles are the sample obtained by this method, is then calcined at high temperatures, say about 800 degrees centigrade, to obtain nanoparticles. Generally, nanoparticles formed by this method commonly have the size ranging from 1 to 100 nanometer. Let us see the advantages of the sol-gel method. Nanomaterials of high purity with good homogeneity can be obtained. It means, as I said in the earlier case, by this method we will be getting monodispersed nanoparticles. It means particles having almost same size, that is homogeneity can be obtained by this method. Samples can be prepared at lower temperature. This is also we have discussed. This method is generally employed for the temperature sensitive organic or inorganic hybrid materials. It means this method can be employed at a lower temperature to get the desired nanoparticles. The third advantage is easy to control synthesis parameters to control physical characteristics like shape and size of the resulting material. Since we are not using any drastic condition for the synthesis of nanoparticles, we can control the physical characteristics such as shapes and size of the nanomaterials or the nanoparticles. Hence, we are able to obtain monodispersed nanoparticles by this method. The last advantage of this method is it is simple and inexpensive, which can be done without any equipment. So these are some notable advantages of Sol-Gel method. Second method under bottom-up approach is precipitation method. In this method, solid nanoparticles are obtained by careful precipitation from their solution. Precipitation method can be used to prepare nanoparticles of metal oxides, metal sulfides and metal nanoparticles. In this method, an inorganic metal salt such as nitrate chloride, nitrite or chloride or acetate of metal is dissolved in water, and we are calling this as precursor solution. By dissolving in water, metal cations will be existed in the form of metal hydride species. For example, aluminum cation is existed in water as aluminum hexahydrate 3+ oxidation state. Then acid or base is added to the precursor solution to adjust the pH to the desired level. This method is important in case of precipitation technique because certain materials are precipitated at particular pH. So to adjust the desired pH level, we are using either acids or bases to get the desired pH level in the precursor solution. Once we got the pH level of desired level, then the precipitating agent is added to it. By the addition of this precipitating agent, the desired material get precipitated out from the solution. Addition of precipitating agent, concentration of solution increases and reaches a critical level called supersaturation. At this concentration, nucleus formation is initiated. The nucleus further grows into particles which gets precipitated. The precipitate obtained is then either filtered or centrifuged, then washed with the water and dried, and finally calcined at high temperature to obtain nanoparticles. Generally, in this technique, to separate the precipitate or to separate the solid from the solution, centrifugation technique is more predominantly adopted because in filtration, the nanoparticles obtained by this method clogs the filtrate membrane. So that is why centrifugation technique is adopted to separate the precipitate from the solution. Let us consider an example for the synthesis of zinc sulfide nanoparticles by precipitation technique. So in this technique, we are using zinc acetate as a precursor, thioacetamide which provides a sulfide ion, and sodium hydroxide which acts as a precipitating agent as well as maintains the pH. So in this case, zinc acetate and thioacetamide is taken in a solution, that is in water, and then to this sodium hydroxide is added. By the addition of sodium hydroxide, the concentration of the solution reaches critical level and the pH is also attained. At this situation, zinc sulfide nanoparticles starts precipitating out from the solution. So the solution is kept stirred until the complete precipitation, then it is centrifuged, washed with the water, air dried and finally calcined at about 800 to 900 degrees Celsius to get the zinc sulfide nanoparticles. The advantages of this method are: the process is relatively economical since we are not using any costly equipments for the synthesis of nanoparticles. Second advantage is wide range of single and multi-component of oxide nanopowders can be synthesized by this method. And the third one is particle size and crystallinity can be controlled by optimizing conditions. So these are the some notable advantages of precipitation technique. In the next class, we'll discuss the another method, that is chemical vapor condensation method for the synthesis of nanoparticles. Thank you.